Today is going to be a very exciting topic. I'm excited myself. I'm always excited, but today I'm super excited because we have a specialist in the house and we're going to be talking about parenting. Now, if you know any other people out there who should be here, please reach out to them, share the link, tell them to keep going out there, share it, share it, share it. Let them join us coming with their questions because there's also a special offer from our guest tonight. Before I bring our guest in, I'm just going to introduce tonight's topic is parenting matters, mastering the art, and becoming an amazing parent. Not just a positive parent, but an amazing parent. And I know we all would want to be amazing parents. So let me start with a quick introduction, and then I'll bring Grace Chukwu in.
Grace Chukwu is a parenting specialist and founder of Amazing Parenting, along with her husband, Counsellor Daniel. Amazing Parenting is an accredited organisation. Grace is renowned for advising, supporting and empowering parents who have children and teens with challenging behaviour. She has helped bring balance and order to countless parents. Grace is passionate about empowering parents to positively impact their children for the good of their families and our society. Grace is a mother of 2 children. She has successfully completed an advanced diploma in clinical and pastoral counselling with the Institute of Counselling in Glasgow, Scotland. She also has a level 3 diploma in psychology with the Association of Learning. She's a conference speaker, consultant. She has featured on radio and is the author of several parenting books. Grace believes if parents take their rightful place as heads of their home and instill correct parenting, children will reach their best potential with exemplary behaviour. All parents can be great parents. It's a journey, and we will get there.
Awesome. Let's welcome Grace into the studio. Grace, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening. I know we are going to have a very exciting time together. I know I've had loads of questions, but of course, I'm not here for myself. We're here for the audience. And I just want to make sure that our audio and stuff is working. So I'll just let you say hello. Okay,
thank you,
very good.
Thank you so much, Rex, for the invite. I'm honored, I'm pleased, I'm excited to speak to your audience, your viewing audience. I'm really excited today. So I really appreciate this invite to your beautiful channel, and I believe the next hour is going to be really impactful and powerful for all the parents that are tuning in today and will hear the broadcast at a later date. But thank you very much, Rexford.
Thank you. Welcome too. I want to start with a quick question just to get the ball rolling. And for those who are joining us, please make sure you're sharing the link with other people. We talk about parenting all the time. Some people say it's easy to become a parent, but it's not easy to be a parent. And what is a good parent, really? Is there something like a good parent, or it depends on circumstances?
That's a really good question. Brilliant opening question. And how I'm going to answer that question, Rexford, is to take the word parent, P.A.R.E.N.T, and take each letter of that word and explain how to be an amazing parent. So if you take the first letter, P. So what does it mean to be a parent? Let's take that letter P. You are a pointer. That P stands for pointer. You are pointing your children in a direction. You are pointing your children where you want them to go, where you want them to head. Now, of course, you send them to school, you encourage them, you're pointing them in a direction. But you're not only pointing them in the direction of school and education and, what they're going to do later on in life, but your lifestyle as a parent is a pointer. By the time a child is 5 years old, if you ask that child, what does daddy do on a Saturday? He will tell you daddy goes to the pub, or on Sunday, daddy goes to church. So your life, how you carry yourself, what you talk about, where you go, who you interact with is a pointer for your children. So if you want to look at our lives as parents, right there, straight off the bat, we can say, well, where am I pointing my children? In my speech, where I go, who I associate with, what my children hear me talk about, whether to them or on the phone, who am I emailing, what am I watching on TV? All these things are pointers for our children. So it's not just a case of having a child and then just, that's it, feed them, take them to school, bring them home and send them to bed. Everything we are doing as parents, we are pointing them in a direction to somewhere. And of course, as our children get older, because we've pointed them in the right direction, now they are informed of how they want to continue to live their lives, because we've pointed them in the right direction from the word go, from birth. We haven't waited until they're older and then we think, oh goodness, I need to start pointing my child in the right direction. It starts from very young. So you might be thinking, well, I'm hearing it for the first time. I haven't been on the ball with my parenting. What do I do? Start from where you are. There's a saying that goes, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is now, because 20 years is going to pass anyway. So start where you're at. If you've been doing things wrong in the past or you haven't been getting the right information, start where you are. Start pointing your children in the right direction now. Okay? So the P in parent is pointer. You are the pointer for your children. Okay, the next letter in parent is A. And that A stands for available. Are you available for your children? I always tell parents who are, have very young children or secondary school children, if you're a two household parent, you must make sure that both of you are not always out of the house, either chasing your corporate career or your ministerial career, that one of you always is home when your children is home. You have to be available. When we have children, it's very important that as parents, we sit down and say, okay, you want to go back to college, you want to go back to school, you want to go back to university as an adult, as a dad or as a mum. Okay, I will take the front lead and be with the children. When you finish doing all of that, I'll then take on my career. It's so important that we are available for our children, especially in this 21st century where the internet is readily available. We need to be our children's first port of call, because there's so many places they can get information from that if we are not giving them the information that we want to get across, they will get it from somewhere else. And where they're getting it from might not have your child's best interest at heart.
That's right.
So we have to be available. Available when they come home from school, available in those transition periods when our children are going from primary school into secondary school. And I wrote a book on that, transitioning from primary school into secondary school and beyond. We need to be on point. We need to be knowing what's happening with our children, that transition. Because when they're in primary school, they're the oldest, they're the tallest, they're the most cleverest. But when they get to secondary school, they're the shortest, they're the smallest, they know the least. So that transition for some children can be very challenging. So if we're not home, if we're not noticing these things, we miss it. And then our children begin to suffer because of it. Those transition periods from GCSEs into uni, into college, into sixth form, are we available? Because not necessarily they're coming to tell us what's going on. Are you available? You notice these things that are going on. The first day you notice, second day you notice. You're bringing it to the attention that, hang on a minute, I've noticed something here. But if you're always out of the home, you're always chasing every shift, you always want to make that extra, that extra money, and your children are home and you're not there. It's one thing to say, okay, maybe we have parents who are listening who are of faith, and yes, we take our children to church and then we send them into Sunday school. It's not enough. those uncles and aunties that are teaching our children in children's church is fantastic, but it's not enough. You have to be available to be talking to your children about the things of God, about the things of where they, you know, what they want to talk about. You need to be available for that. So be available. The A in parent is for available. Are you available? These are questions you can ask yourself and ask your children. Do you think that is available for you? Do you think me being here is being available for you? Hear your children. I remember asking my daughter years ago, you know, to describe me. And she said, Mom, yeah, you know, you're a good woman, but patience. Yeah, you need more patience. You know? So, and I had to humble myself. And, okay, I'll take that on board. But, you know, we have to be available for them. So the A in parent is for available or availability. The R in parent, I know there's only one R in parent, but I want to take two words to describe parent. The R in parent is for reliable. Are you reliable? If your child says, okay, Mommy, every weekend I want to go swimming, and you agree, yes, every Wednesday or every Saturday or every this time, we're going to go swimming. Are you reliable? Can your child rely on you? Can your child say, Daddy, we've got a school play. I'm in the school play. Will you come and watch me? Can your child rely on you when the play starts? Can your child look out into the sea of faces of parents and see you there? Are you reliable? Because our children learn the power of our words by what we say to them. And are we reliable? Our word is our bond. Our children get that from us. So when we say our word is our bond, is it? Are you being reliable with your children? Are you being there for them when you say you're going to be there? Are you going to pick them up when they say they need picking up? You've arranged to meet somewhere? Are we reliable? All those things go hand in hand being an amazing parent. Your child might not see it now, but it's when they get older and look back, as we do as adults, we look back over our lives growing up with our parents and we can see, yeah, my dad was reliable. The other R I want to talk about is responsible. Are you responsible as a parent? Or do you say things like, well, you know, he's 2 years old, they've got the terrible twos, let's let them get on with it. Oh, they're teenagers. That's what they do now, they're teenagers. No, are you responsible for your child? God forbid that your child gets stopped outside by the police. They're coming to you because you are the responsible adult in your child's life. Are you responsible? Have you put things in place for when you're no longer around? Have you written your will? Have you got life insurance? These are responsible things that as parents, we need to be doing. If you have children under the age of 18, you are responsible for their livelihood, their well-being, their accommodation. But if you're no longer around, who will do it? What have you put in place that will make sure that anything happens to me, this is here for my child? We insure our houses. We make sure we've got home cover. Have we insured our lives? If you have a child with special needs and you haven't got life cover, what's going to happen to them? You just leave them to the state, leave them to the local authority. This is part of being responsible. We have to be responsible for our children, whether we're here or not, as long as they're still children. So the R in parent is for reliable and responsible. The E, let's talk about the E in parent, is for enjoy. How often do you enjoy yourself with your children? How often do we carve out time for our children just to laugh, just to play, just to go out, just to enjoy ourselves? The E in parent is for enjoy. Just right now, think back. When was the last time you enjoyed yourself with your child? When was the last time you laughed? If you have very small children, when was the last time you sat on the floor and pretend to drink cups of tea and play with Teddy? If your children are a bit older, when was the last time you took them to the cinema? When was the last time you played Uno with them? When was the last time you sat and watched the Netflix with them? Yeah? When was the last time you enjoyed yourself with your child, with your children? You might be very busy. You might be in that mode of where you're constantly back to back at work with projects and assignments. So you need to carve out time. So it's not as how often you can do it, but the quality of time you spend and enjoy with your children. That's really important, that we take time out to enjoy our children, laugh with them, take them to the park. And enjoyment doesn't have to cost money. It doesn't have to cost a penny to enjoy your time with your children, for your children to enjoy you. And I just want to interject here. Sometimes when we talk about enjoyment with our children, some parents think, oh, you're being soft. You know, your children will take advantage of you. When we are enjoying ourselves with our children, it doesn't deplete our authority as a parent. It doesn't take away from us because we're laughing and being silly with our children. No. Because as soon as we need to be serious, we're serious again.
That's right.
So our children have that clear, defined line. When daddy's playing, he's playing. When he wants me to be serious, we're serious. So they have that clear, defined line with you, that they know that they can come to you and laugh and joke and play. And at the same time, when you're serious with them, they know you're serious. So don't think because you enjoy yourself with your children that your authority is depleted. Your children will take you for a joke. Your children won't listen to you. Your children will override you. No, that is not the case. As long as you have that clear, defined balance of enjoyment, being soft, and being strict when you need to be. So that letter E is for enjoyment. Let's look at the last letter T. T is for being teachable. As parents, we don't know everything. I remember I went to go and speak for the group of parents, and a parent stood up and she said, well, what do you do when your child asks you a question and you don't know the answer? You have no clue on the answer. So in that case, depending on how old your child is, you can Google that thing together, or you can just tell your child, give me 5 minutes, give me 10 minutes, and you go and find out the meaning of that thing that they want to talk about, and then come back to your child and talk about it. Never tell your child that, oh, you're too young, you're too old, you can't talk about that. Be prepared to be teachable. There are things that our children are talking about that can teach us. We just need to be humble enough and listen. We don't know it all. As parents, you don't automatically become a parent and automatically you have an encyclopedia engrafted in your brain. No, we have to be teachable. We have to be ready to sit down and learn and listen from our children, from those around us, so we can equip them. We can give them the information they need for them to take the right steps, the next steps to where they want to lead to. Absolutely. So the T in parent is for being teachable. Okay, so I hope just those 6 letters has helped us to get an insight of how to be an amazing parent. We can just look at each of those letters and ask ourselves, where am I in that? Am I enjoying myself? Am I teachable? Am I pointing my child in the right direction? Just ask those simple questions to yourself, and that will help, you bring those things together that is needed.
This is awesome. I mean, I'm just listening to this parent. So all these words that you have used here, I just love it here. I mean, with the enjoy bit, I think I picked up a couple of things in there for people who are listening or will listen later. That playing with there's nothing wrong with being playful with your children.
Absolutely.
Once you know that I'm in a play mode now, or this is playtime. And not that everybody sees you as that. I know you and I were having a chat the other day, and I was saying some of us had very strict parents, so you couldn't laugh with them and things like that, So we live in a different world altogether now. So children should find their parents approachable, that they are regular human beings like themselves.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Okay. Children need to know we used to be 5 years old. We used to be 12 years old. They need to know that we went through those things as well. Yeah. And if we're not approachable, our children won't be able to relate to us, we won't be able to relate to them.
Awesome. So I've got here, just to recap our audience here, I've got a point of fantastic there. Availability or being available, reliable and responsible, enjoy. I've got the teachable. Now, was the N silent or was there something there?
Oh, N, yes, I forgot N. Yes, of course. N is not silent. N is there. Yeah, so the N is for nurture. We have to be nurturing. The N is for nurture. So to be nurtured, when we look at the word nurture, it means to care for something while it grows. So if we take that from a parent and child perspective, how you nurture your child. Many of us may have heard, the child you nurture today will, nourish you tomorrow. So we need to nurture our children. We need to be comforting to our children. Not every day we come on, get up, go to school, go to eat your breakfast, come on. We need to be slow and taking our time with them, listening to them, having that nurturing spirit towards them, so they grow. Anything that you want to grow, you have to nurture. If you're married, you want your marriage to grow. You have to nurture it. You have to be good to your wife. You have to be nice to your husband for your marriage to grow. You have to nurture it. And we all receive nurture in different ways. The nurture a newborn baby needs is different nurture from what I will need. But we all need nurture. So we have to take time out to stop and think, have I nurtured my child today? Have I nurtured my child this week? Have I stopped to make sure my child is cared for while they're growing? Because when we look at the child's perspective on being cared for, they don't see that the mortgage is being paid and you going shopping and those kind of things. It's the storytelling at night and tying their shoe, laces and cuddling them and kissing them and telling them I'm proud of you and giving them a high five and a wink and a pat on the back and telling them I'm here for you. Being there when they come out of school to hold their hand as you walk home. So when they're in uni, to go and visit them at uni. When they've gone to work, you go and meet them for lunch. That's care, that's nurture. Awesome. So it's important as parents, we are nurturing our children. That nurture aspect has to be there, because the aspect of making sure we are pointing them in the right direction may possibly be there, but that nurture side needs to equally be there as you point them in the right direction. The nurture side needs to be there. Your child needs to be able to, they sit on your lap and you snuggle together. You talk, you go into their room. If they're a bit older, you go into their room, you sit on their bed. Say, what's happening? What's going on? They might be, oh, mom, leave me alone. Oh, mom. Yeah. But they know that you care. They know that you're interested. I remember my son was here when he was a bit young. He had an Xbox, and I'd go in there. Say, come on, let me play. I played with him a couple of times, and I didn't know how the controls work. I was making the man run backwards, but we were playing. I was nurturing. I was interested in what he was doing. And the same again with my daughter and things that she likes to do. So have that nurturing side to you. And for some parents, you might need to dig deep to get that nurturing side of you out, but your children will thank you. Your children will thank you in the end for being there for them. Our children now, the onslaught for our children's attention, the onslaught for our children's time is a lot greater than it was when we were at school, when we were younger, 50, 40, years ago. So if we're not nurturing them, they'll go out and look for that nurture. They'll go out and look for somebody to fill that void. So again, that's where we need to be there for them. That nurturing. As humans, we need to be nurtured. No matter how old you are, you need to be nurtured. And if you're not getting it, you will crave it and you'll go outside and look for it. And we don't want our children going outside looking to someone, to nurture them. So have that side of you where you're nurturing your children. I'm excited. I forgot the end now. I was all excited.
No, that's all right. No, this is so good. For those who are watching and will watch, you got to get your friends, come online right now. And for those who watch later, please share the link with other people so they can benefit. Let's just take a short break, and I'll come back. I have a couple of other questions that are burning in my mind right now that I need us to talk about. So let's
Okay.
just take a quick break and then we'll be back.
Okay.
Question I want to ask is this. I mean, not everybody may have had a smooth relationship with your children and all that. How does a parent repair that relationship
Mm,
with a child where it has been strained in some way? Some parents think just throw toys at them and that solves the problem, and then they can't understand why the kid is still behaving in a particular way. How do you deal with that? Or maybe for the parent who is having a challenging uh, uh, teenager, you can't understand what is this my child, this is not a child I raised, what's happening here?
mm,
I
mm,
mean,
mm.
how do you address things like that?
Yeah. Okay. First of all, as the parent, from the parent's
Mhm,
perspective, recognizing that there's a problem. That's the
mhm,
first thing you need to recognize. There's a problem.
mhm,
And instead of sometimes a lot of parents that I work with, they say, well, if the child didn't do this, if the child wasn't like this, then I wouldn't have to be like this. Whereas what we need to be doing is looking at ourselves first. So how am I towards my child? If I was my child looking at me, what would I see? So that's the first thing we've got to be looking at is ourselves.
mhm,
What what have I done, or what am I doing, or what am I not doing that has maybe, gone towards my child behaving like this? So that's the first thing we need to do. And also recognize early. The first day you notice your child is not quite right, notice it. By the second day, you think, oh no, 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 I need to watch more closely. And then you're watching to see if this thing continues. By the third day, you need to be addressing it. You need to be talking to your child about, this is what I have noticed. For the past 3 days, for the past, and I like to, when I always use 3 days, it's because for those of your listeners who are, of faith, when Jesus was 12 years old and he went missing, the moment Mary and Joseph realized he was missing, they started journeying back to
mhm,
where they had the feast to come and look for him. So as soon as you notice something, you start going back to, when did I first notice this thing with my child? So don't wait. I remember working with a parent, and this is a few years ago now, and the child was in a gang, had joined a gang. And I said, when did you notice, your child behaving funny, behaving, like this? At the time, the child was 16 years old. She said she noticed in year 7. So that's when he was 11.
mhm,
Look at all the years that have passed. And now they're now chasing time to try and put things right. So you have to notice something is wrong first. Then look at yourself. Am I doing something? Am I not doing something? Notice it in your child and then call your child's attention when it's calm. Don't wait until something's kicked off and now you're saying, oh, you're always doing this. What's
mhm,
wrong with you? No, wait till things have calmed down and then call your child's attention. Maybe, at bedtime or some calm time, at dinner time. You still got, I've noticed for the past few days now, you're behaving like this. What's happening? What's going on? They might say, oh, nothing, mom or dad, you just keep asking me questions. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Even if they don't answer at that time, they now know that something is wrong.
mhm. Right.
Because what happens is when our children start going off point, start acting, going rogue, and we start panicking and shouting and, you're always doing this, what's wrong with you? It doesn't sink into their heads. But when we hold their attention and let them know that nurturing comes out at that point and lets them know that I've noticed that this isn't my girl that I brought up. This isn't the son that I brought up. I've noticed something is wrong. Do you want to talk about it? Okay, not now. Let you go and have a think. But just I've just noticed these things, and I wanna address it before it gets any worse. When that child goes to bed that night, they'll be thinking, "Oh God, my dad's worried about me. My mom hasn't ever come to me and sat down in my room and talked to me like this before. It's going to make them think. So when that behavior wants to spike again, they're going to remember your voice, you saying something is wrong, something's not quite right. And then they'll come to you, maybe not that day or not that week, but later on they'll begin to come to you. Say, yeah, mom, something's wrong. Say, okay, let's talk about it. And if you as the parent, you can't solve it, make sure you find someone who can. And I want to also just bring in amazing parenting there as well. You know, with parenting, it's very fundamental, very basic. But what makes it complicated is when all the, you know, the emotions and the feelings and life begins to hit. That's what makes parenting difficult. And then if we are having a difficult situation with our child, the reason why we need to care so much is if that difficulty is prolonged and then turns into a bone of contention and then turns into strife. Your child now leaves home and you're still not talking. That thing hasn't been resolved. That break in your relationship, parent and child relationship, is broken. Your child now goes on and gets married and has children. If you're not close to your child, what impact will you have on your grandchildren? Therefore, where will your legacy lie? So it's so important that we nip it in the bud in the beginning when we notice something, instead of allowing it to last for years. And our impact in our children's lives and our grandchildren's lives is lost. There are some things that we go through as parents, you know, that if you want to lose weight, you go to Weight Watchers, you go to the gym, you know, you join a club and you lose weight together. If you want to learn how to cook, you know, you go to cookery classes, they show you how to make bread and, you know, bake a cake. But when your parenting has faltered, where do you go? Who do you talk to about such delicate, sensitive, embarrassing challenges? That's why Amazing Parenting was founded, created. That's why Amazing Parenting is here. So if you're listening and you are going through such issues and you don't want to, you know, put your hand up and say, yeah, I'm facing this. I was working with a mum, her daughter was beating her, physically beating her. So Amazing Parenting is here. So you can, I've put, Rexford has kindly offered that I can offer you.
Let me just put it up there for them. Yes.
Amazing Parent, I can offer you a free 30-minute parent consultation. Just send me an email. The code is Amazing Parenting. Just put that in the subject line, Amazing Parenting. So yes, I would like a free 30-minute parent consultation. That's all you need to do. And then we can take it from there. But it's important that you don't suffer in silence as a parent. That you don't notice these things going wrong. Your child then tells you what the problem is and you don't know how to solve it. Okay, now what do you do? Your child is now confided in you. Yes, you've been nurturing. Your child has told you, yes, mom, I've joined a gang. Yes, mom, the police are chasing me. Yes, mom, this has happened. And now you don't know what to do as a parent. Contact Amazing Parenting. Just send one-liner. Yes, I would like a free 30-minute parent consultation. That's why Amazing Parenting is here. So it's very important, going back to your question, that one, we notice. Two, we look at ourselves. What have I changed? Am I available? Has my child looking for something outside of the home? Because whatever you need that you don't get in your house, you will look for it outside. That's child, that's husband, that's wife, that's whoever. If you're not getting what you need at home, you will look for it outside. You will seek for it outside as a human being. So we have to be able to recognize, am I, as a parent, am I missing something? Have I missed something? Have I done something? Have I said something? Have I missed the mark here? And then if you can iron out all those things, then you go to your child and say, look, I've noticed this. I'm concerned. You know, you behaving like, I'm concerned. What's going on? But you yourself, you may possibly need your own counseling to help your child get through this situation. And we work from all ages, from your child's a newborn right up to 18 and above, no matter what the issues are, whether it's, you know, you want to instill rules and boundaries, your child's not behaving, your child's not doing well at school, your child has, you know, stopped talking to you, whatever the case is, your child is hitting you, contact Amazing Parenting. I hope that answers
Awesome.
your
I just
question.
wanted to say that for those who want to contact them, the link is also in the description below the video, so you can go pick it up directly there. But
Yeah,
don't miss this offer. And even if you are not in the situation that Grace is talking about, you know somebody who needs this. So please share this with them, and also the offer, so they can also benefit. They just
yeah,
need to specify Amazing Parenting when they are sending the email to amazingparenting@gmail.com.
that's it. That's it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. Let me pick up on another aspect of it. Busy parents.
Mm,
Yeah, busy parents. Now, we used to think it just happens in the West, but it happens everywhere. I deal with people in different parts of the world, particularly in Africa, and you would hear, oh, busy people are going to work by the time they come, traffic and everything. And so this whole concept of, okay, maybe I can bring a grandparent to come help me. It's not so easy like it was before.
mm,
How do
mm.
people manage? I know you touched on it briefly, but for the benefit of the varied audience we have, as a busy father or busy mother, whether it's a single parent led home or a dual parent led home, how do you manage a situation like that?
Yeah. So the life we're living now is very fast paced. You know, our jobs are expecting more from us. Our bosses want us to do more, you know, for less money and all of this going on. So we need to work more to bring in the same amount of money. So that may mean we're out of the house more often. But for parents, like we said a bit earlier, your child is only 5 once. Your child is only 13 once. Your child is only 2 once. You can always work. Houses of Parliament is full of old people. So it's evident that you can be whatever age you want to work and still work. But the time you have for your children is a window that's closing as time goes. And once that window's closed, you can't open it again. Once the time has passed, it's gone. So you can be busy, you can be climbing the corporate ladder, you can want to be doing ministry, you can be wanting to do all of these things, but not at the expense of your children. That might mean, you know, you have to juggle some things. So you're home when they're home. You might need to speak to your boss about being home at a certain time. You might need to, you know, be there for school run. You might need to juggle some things, but it'll be worth it. And the thing is, this juggling that you're doing is for a period. If you blink and they would have left school. So it's only for a period of time that you need to reassess your workload, that you need to reassess how far you may travel to work because your children are home. It's only for a period. Your children are not going to be 2 forever. They're not going to be in primary school forever. So it's a period of time where you and your spouse, or you and your partner, or you by yourself will need to say, you know what, we need to reassess how we're going to be doing our parenting, because, you know, one of us or 2 of us need to be here at this time. So being busy that's how it is. It's a given for everybody. Everybody who's working, it's a given. We're going to be busy. But it's how you divide up your time if you're a parent. I always say parents, we have almost a different kind of creed that we belong to when you become a parent. You know, when you're single, you're growing, you have no responsibilities, you can live your life, work from midday to midnight, no problem. But when you have a child, you really need to assess the time it takes to raise that child. Practically, day by day, what do you need to be putting in place so that child is not losing out because of your job?
That's right. Awesome. Thank you so much for this. What happens in a case where somebody has a child with disability,
Mm,
obviously requiring extra attention and things like that? Is there
yeah,
anything in particular that can go for such a parent?
yeah, yeah. So depending on the severity of the disability.
Hmm.
So if it's very mild, your child has a mild disability, and they can go to mainstream school, send them to mainstream school. That's very important that they mix with children who are mainstream. That will help them in their development. Okay, if it's just minor learning needs or learning difficulties, make sure you get them into mainstream school. Another thing to look at is don't overcompensate as a parent. Don't overcompensate for your child. You know your child can do his laces, but because they have a disability, you do your child's shoelaces. No, don't overcompensate. You know your child is doing something wrong and you just put it down to the disability. You don't correct them. You don't try to guide them the right way. You just put it down to the disability. That's why they behave like that. No. As parents of children with disabilities, you need to have the disability assessed. So if they're at that school age, it needs to be assessed. So the school can then put in either they can have an extra teacher in class with them, or they can have special help in class, but don't overcompensate as a parent if your child has a disability. If they can do things, allow them to do it. It might take longer. It could take 3 seconds to do shoelaces, but because your child has a disability, it's taking them longer. Be patient, wait, give them that time. Also, let your child join groups, activities with other children who are facing such disabilities. Get them out in the community. And it will also help you as a parent to mix with other mums and other dads who are facing the same issues that you're facing with your child. So it's important that your child is out in the community, learning different things, joining different clubs, and that you're spending that time with your child. Again, the same parent that we just spell out, use the same thing with your child. But the key thing is not to overcompensate for your child's disability. And if they can go to mainstream school, send them to mainstream school. If their disability is extreme, so disability where they may need to be living with you even into their adulthood, then you need to assess, what have you as a parent put in place for this child that has this severe disability? What's in place? Nowadays, there are so many organizations that as parents you can tap into to get the resource, the help, the support. Some of it is even financial. You can get financial support.
Okay.
So go onto the internet and type in whatever disability your child has and look for the support you need. Unfortunately, you have to be proactive. Nobody's coming to tell you this is what you're entitled to.
Right.
You have to be proactive. You have to go online and look for it. You have to go into the school and say, what else can I have? What else can I do? What else can my child tap into because of A, B, and C disability? So yes, it's very key that if your child does have a disability, whether it's mild or extreme, that you as the parent tap into those things that are outside that you need. Yeah, it's not going to come to you. You need to tap into it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that insight. Wow. I just want to pick up a couple more and then I invite anybody else who's got any questions here. Very quickly, I mean, when it comes to people with a multicultural, multi-ethnic relationship, and then of course for people who live in the UK, in America, in Europe and things like that, with a clash of things. I remember being somewhere, somebody asked me if I'm an African parent. And I think that it had a particular connotation, the way he asked me the question. So how do we address that? Because we find some people stigmatize some of the parents, their attitudes, their behavioral patterns, the way they approach things. I remember seeing a woman, but this was in Africa, speaking to her 42-year-old daughter who was a mother herself. And I couldn't believe she was speaking to her like that. And she said, she's my baby. My baby is always my baby, So it's like a little girl. And is there a difference in the way you look at it? One from the multi-ethnicity perspective, and then also as people grow, do we change the way if you into raising your voice at kids, whether it's right or not? Do you still do that when the kid is growing? Things like that.
Absolutely. So from the multicultural, let's take that side of the question first. So if you as a parent were born somewhere else and you come here and then you had your children, or maybe you brought your children from where you were born while they were very young, it's important. There's three things that we have to do as parents that possibly have come from other countries. Teach your child your language where possible, even if they don't speak it, they should understand it. Teach your child your language. Teach your child your culture, how you do things. Teach your children your culture. And then thirdly, teach your children your food so they can cook your native food. Those three things we shouldn't let go of because we're in another country. We should keep hold of those three things. However, the country that we are in has its own culture, has its own way of doing things, and that's been doing it before you got here. So as those parents that have come from those other countries, learn what the culture is that you're in, because that's the culture your children are growing up in. So learn the culture where you are. What's what? What's A? What's B? Learn the culture that you're in. Learn the language that you're in, the country that you're in, and have your children learn that language. As they go to school, they'll be taught that language. So it's important that even though you've come from another country, those three areas are kept: your language, your culture, your food. But also, you have to be respectful of the country that you are in and the children that you are raising in that country, in that environment. It doesn't mean the standards that you've had, you now have to lower because that's how they do it in this country. Not necessarily. You still maintain your standard. And even when your children drop that standard, you bring them back up to your standard lovingly, with care, with understanding. I always tell parents, no matter what kind of standard you set, a high standard or a low standard, your children will meet it. Your children will meet your low standard. Your children will meet your high standard. So still have your standards, regardless that you're in a country that you wasn't born in. Have your standards, but talk to your children about your standards. Why you have these standards. It can't just be, this is our standards and that's it. Talk about why you have this standard for them. What is the benefit of having this standard? If you're a person of faith and you're a Bible believing parent and that's your standard, talk to your children about why you're having this as your standard. Talk about why your faith is important. Why faith in your house is a standard. That might not be the norm in the society where you're growing or where you're living, but it's your standard. And that's how you want to raise your children. So parents that have come from other countries, they're not to be worried or, concerned that, oh, we're in this country now, we just have to let our children behave anyhow to however society allows them to do here. We should just allow them to do. After all, this is where they were born. No. Have your standards as a parent. Talk to your children about your standards. Talk to your children about the benefits of your standards. Even if right now they don't understand the benefits of your standard, talk to them about it. Let them know why that in this house, this is our standard. There are a lot of things going on, outside where you don't have to get permission from your parents to do something. Let your children know that here we talk about everything. Anything you want to do, we discuss, we talk about. Where you want to go, the time you need to be back, we talk about it, we discuss it. Of course, there are some things that are non-negotiables with parents. That you decide what your non-negotiables are. On this subject, it's my way. That's it. It's not for debate. And don't be scared of telling your children, no, this is the way it needs to be. It's not everything that our children come home and tell us, we just cower and say, okay, well, it's this society, so let's just be like it. Let's just do it. No, don't be afraid to put your foot down and keep it down. It's not everything that your child wants to do. You just say, okay, well, that's the society today. Let's let them do it. No, absolutely not. Don't be afraid to tell your child no, and this is the reason why it's no. Don't be afraid that, if I don't allow them, they'll go outside and do it. You set your standard. You teach, you point your child in the right direction. And when they're older, they'll realize that direction my dad was trying to point me in, it was right. It was right. So don't feel you have to relent and go back, or cower away from situations because this is not how you was brought up. No, no. These are our children. These are your children. You bring them up accordingly because you are responsible for them. So yeah, so the second part of that question is as your children get older, how do you address them? When your children are young, you're shouting, you're calling them, you're getting them into school. Come on, get in the car. You're doing all of that. There comes a point in your child's life where all the things you have said, all the things you've been pointing them to, either they're going to take it on board or they're not. It gets to a point in our children's lives as they reach, those adult years where they can choose. And if you've not been that nurturing parent, that available parent, that teachable parent, they will choose what they want to choose without asking you or telling you because they don't have to. So when our children get to that certain age, we need to be conversing with them. In my first book, I talk about the 3 stages of parenting. Stage 1 is the manager stage. From 0 to 12, you manage everything your child does. Then from 13 to 17, you become their advisor. You advise them in everything they're doing. They're now coming home from secondary school and they're talking to you about things, you're advising them. By the time they reach 18 and above, and I go in depth in the book, you now become their consultant. They can come to you and hear your wisdom if they want to or if they don't want to. But because you've been a good manager and a good advisor, they want your counsel. They want to, have your wisdom when they're older. They want to come to you and say, Dad, this is the girl I want to marry. This is the boy I want to marry. Dad, I've been thinking of this career path. Dad, I want to do this now. They want to hear your wisdom on it. But as our children get older, and especially when we become empty nesters, our children have left home. That telling them, oh, you need to be doing this or you need to, that's gone. That's gone now. They don't live with you anymore. So your relationship, even though that parent-child dynamic never changes, you will always be parent, they will always be your child. The dynamic will always be there, but the relationship is neither enhanced as they get older, or it diminishes because of how they were treated when they were younger. So it's very important that as our children get older, we relate to them. We're still mum, we still, have our standards, but how we relate to them, how we talk to them will be different as they get older.
Awesome. Thank you. This has been a minefield of information, or rather a gold mine of information. So much information in there given. I just want to remind the audience and those who will also watch it afterwards that there's a free 30-minute consultation with Grace. This is something everybody needs to be able to benefit from. It's so good. I had to ask Grace, do you really want to give people 30 minutes? And she said, yes, she wants to give people 30 minutes. So you've got something private you want to discuss, or somebody who has an issue, this is the opportunity. I mean, it's free 30 minutes. Go to amazingparenting@gmail.com. Just drop her a message, put the subject line or the code as amazing parenting, and she will respond to you to have that private chat. Wow, our time is almost up.
Wow,
And I think I've only gone through like half the questions, but this has been fantastic, Grace. I think we're going to have to arrange some time later, some other time where, and then in the meantime, I want to make sure that all the people who should be hearing this get the message as well, so that then they can also let their friends know they come on the next session. We'll announce that later as well. Grace, have you got any parting words you want to leave with anybody? I know what you said at the beginning, the parent, that is so good, but I don't know if there's anything else that you want to, because you've already given the 30 minutes here to people who want to connect with you. So I would hope that should be good enough for anybody else there.
Yeah.
Um, would you say that, just as a closing, I know because of our time, would you say that parenting doesn't change whether you're a foster parent or a biological
Mhm.
parent? It's still the same, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
It
So whether
is,
you're a
okay.
biological parent, an adoptive parent, a foster
Hmm.
parent, the
Hmm.
fact that you have a child in your care, you're a parent. You're a parent. You're parenting that child. You're caring for that child. So absolutely, whether you've adopted children from birth or the children are a bit older, you are a parent. Yeah, you are a parent. Don't think that, oh well, I'm a foster parent. So I don't really need to give them my all because they're going to go in 6 months or they're not going to live. No, no. Go through the spelling of parent, P.A.R.E.N.T, and address it to yourself, regardless, for the sake of those children that you're caring for. Because something we think of our children as babies, as little, just as we're adults, we can think back to how we were brought up. The same way your children are going to reach 40, reach 50, reach 60, and think back to how you brought them up, whether you were their foster parent, whether you were their adoptive parent, or whether you was their biological parent. They will think back and think, yeah, my foster mom was really good to me. My biological mom was brilliant. My dad was the best dad ever. He did his best for me. Yes. So that parent is for that parent. The spelling of the word parent is for every and any aspect of parenting. When we send our children to school, when we send our children to nursery, those people there become the parent of that child. They're caring for that child whilst in the care of your children. They're parenting your child. So yeah, if you have any close impact that you have on children, yes, absolutely. How are you pointing if you're a school teacher, how are you pointing those school children? What direction are you pointing them in? Or is it just a job? I'm just going to teach them maths and that's it. No, you're pointing them in a direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're a nursery teacher, nursery nurse, and you've got 2-year-olds running around, how are you nurturing them? And it's not because they're your biological children. They're only going to be with you for a few hours a day. But how are you nurturing them? Where are you pointing them in the right direction? Are you teaching them things? Is it because they're not yours? Well, whether they learn to count or not, it's not my business. They're only here for a little while. So it's important that when we have children in our care, we parent them regardless. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Saint. Thank you. Some questions were just bubbling in my head, but I'm going to leave them because
Yeah.
I know we can't do everything today. And
Mm,
hopefully, we would come for another session if you'd be happy to do
absolutely.
that. Yeah,
Yes,
so we
yes,
can arrange another time later, and then you could come in so we could bombard you with some more. But of course, to our audience, I believe you have benefited a lot from the rich experience and knowledge of Grace Chukwu. And as I mentioned at the beginning, she's a very humble lady. So she did just said several books. I was amazed to find that my count was about 17 books. My goodness. So many books there. I mean, for different stages of life and for different scenarios. So I want to encourage you. You can find the books on Amazon. Just type Grace Chukwu or type Amazing Parenting, and you should get access to some of those books. Irrespective of the stage or age your children are, you would find something there for you. She shared stuff on what a parent is there. Believe you me, when you go look at those books, she's got stuff which is what you can do for 365 days, 30 tips here and all that. You need to go avail yourself of all those resources, benefit from it, but as well to benefit from the free 30-minute session she's making available to you. So please share this link with your friends and family as well so that they can benefit from the offer she's giving to everybody. Grace, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you very much for
thank
joining us
you.
today. And we look
Thank you,
forward to
Rexford.
having you again. Thank you
Yes,
so
thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
I just want to
All
say
right.
all parents can be great parents. It's a journey and we will get there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We
You're
will all
welcome.
get there. Thank you.
Amen.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's broadcast. I believe that you have benefited from this. And if you're watching this later, please make sure you benefit from the resources she made available to all of us, for information she gave about parenting, and as well as the 30-minute session she's making available. The code to use is Amazing Parenting. I repeat, the code to use is Amazing Parenting. If you look in the description, I've also put information of how to get in touch with her email address, amazingparenting@gmail.com. Just give the code Amazing Parenting when you're sending that email, and she will know that you have been part of this experience today. Thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on our next broadcast later. Thank you.